What's happening, everybody? This is Todd Wilson with another episode of Elevate Your Game. Today we have husband, father, athletic director, head basketball coach, former head golf coach. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Mr. Bryan Cantwell, welcome to the show.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Here we like to start off with the wall of hoop movies. Your favorite hoop movie of all time and why?
Man, there's some good ones up there. I'll go with Coach Carter. I like Coach Carter because of the lessons that he tried to teach those kids. It's also based on a true story, on a real coach. And at the time, we had a pretty good team back then in the late 90s, I believe was when it was going on. And they were one of the teams that were in the North playing when we were playing down here with our couple teams back then that won CIF and went on a state run. So nice. Maybe we meet them, maybe we not, who knows. But I like that movie because of the lessons that he teaches and how he makes those, everybody work hard to earn what they want to earn and the life lessons that go on with that. Also, that he coached his son on that team, and I coached all three of my sons on our team. So,
man,
yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
So I like it.
I have to. This is not usually the order of the show, but we're just going to jump right into that because I have a 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. Is it worth, how do you keep that balance of the relationship, being dad and being coach?
It's very difficult because I stopped coaching for a little while and Todd Wolfson came in to Chaminade. Then we had Ryan Moore for a year, then John Pilars for a year, and those seniors had 3 different coaches in 3 years. And so we went into an office and, all right, who are we going to try to find now? And the president of the school said, he's sitting right here. And I go, well, we worked it out and I was able to come back. So I was the 4th coach for those kids. But before I accepted that job, I had a son, my oldest son was on the team, was in the program. So I met with him and my middle son, Kieran, my oldest, and my middle son, Caden, and I'm thinking about coaching the team again and taking over the program. What do you guys think about that? I actually thought that Kieran would say, that sounds good, and Caden would say, I don't know, and it was flipped. How they said this. I think it'd be great. The other was like, I don't know about that. So we decided that we were going to do it, and we did, and it went really well with my oldest son. Now he's not the tallest, most athletic kid in the world, but he can shoot the ball really well. All three coaches' kids can shoot the ball really well, and so. It was fine with him. It was great. My middle son was pretty good. And so then the balance came, how do I make sure I'm not favoring him, but how do I also make sure I'm not punishing him because I'm his coach with outside perception or whatever. But he earned his way on the varsity and was tough. After freshman year, he played JV his freshman year, and after freshman year, he wanted to transfer. He didn't want to play for me. And I said, well, you're not leaving the school because I love Chaminade and everything it's all about, and I've been there for 29 years. And so, or now it's 29 years. I said, you're not transferring, let's figure this out. So I actually stopped talking with him outside the court about basketball unless he asked. No other kid was going home and having the actual head coach eating dinner with them and continuing to talk about it and continuing to teach. So I wanted to be a dad. He wanted me to be a dad. He felt that I was more of a coach than a dad. And it was really eye-opener for me in my growth as a human to understand that I need to separate that. And we did. And he was really thankful he didn't transfer. He loved Chaminade. He graduated from Chaminade. He loves it. He goes back and works in the summertime for the summer school stuff and volunteers if he needs to, or for that he gets paid, but volunteers other things if he needs to with the school. And so it really worked out well for him. Yeah. And that taught me my lesson of my next one that's coming up, who's now a sophomore on the team, about how to separate both. Yeah. Now, if they ask me questions, then yeah, it's on. But if you don't want to get into that conversation, then don't. And that's the biggest thing, too, when and people talk about this all the time. And parents hear it sometimes, they don't hear it sometimes. And I know I hear this from every coach. Don't talk to your kid on the ride home. Just go get some ice cream. Go get a burger. Go do whatever. Don't do it.
Talk about anything else besides basketball.
Because the pressure of not only trying to please the coach and then trying to please your parents who might have varying views on what's going on the court or whatever, and also trying to please your girlfriend and also trying to please your friends and all this other stuff is not, and then trying to get good grades, it piles on, and parents don't really think about that sometimes. And they get caught up with it. So, my parent meeting, it's one of the biggest advice I give, and I use my kids as an example that I would preach it, but then didn't realize what I was doing until my son pointed it out to me, and he had the courage to do that. And we had a great conversation when he was 15 years old about how it was going to be better, moving on as his coach also. So,
Man, no, that's awesome. And that's, you say it as a coach and a father, but even just as a parent, like you said, stop talking about that stuff on the ride home and separating their performance in a sport to who they are as your kid are just so important.
Well, it's so hard because, one percenters, you've heard the term one percenters, right? So it's such a huge part of their lives all the way up until they're 18 years old. And it gets really huge from 14 to 18 when they're in high school. And it's only 4 years. And it goes so fast. And it's over so quickly. And they need to enjoy it also, the kids do. But so do the parents. Enjoy it. Try to relax in the stands. Just enjoy the game. Yes. You know what I mean? And enjoy their friends and enjoy their friendships. Because ultimately, I want to be friends with my kids when they're in their 30s. Yeah. I want to be their friend. And still help them as a parent. But right now, I want them to get to their 30s, safely and having us, trying to have a good life to get there. And then when they're in their 30s, I'll be their friends. I don't want them to hate me. And I don't want anyone's kids to hate them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because of some driving force, because of high school athletics. Just let it happen, let it play, but encourage them, let them go in there and let them earn it, and then move on from there.
I love that. I think you speak to a lot of people. You have it in the high school realm at a very high level, being at a Mission League school in Southern California where we're saturated with talent, but also for all those AAU dads out there, there's a lot of those and they live this. And so I feel like that's a great piece of information to start this show off. We really haven't even started the show off with something so powerful. So thank you. So the first question or second question we usually ask is, when did you fall in love with basketball?
Well, I didn't even play basketball until I was in 7th grade. I was always baseball and soccer, and I didn't love soccer, but I played it because my best friend played it. So as a kid, I was playing with my best friend. He loved soccer, so we played it. We both loved baseball. His dad was the athletic trainer for the San Diego Padres.
Oh, wow.
And so we grew up with, hitting in the cages with Tony Gwynn and pitching with Eric Shao. And when I played first base, I used Steve Garvey's old glove. And when I played third base, I used Greg Nettles' old glove, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And we had all that stuff. And when you're a kid, you think everybody grows up like this, right? So we never played basketball. It was always those. So then I was about 6'1" or 6'2" in 7th grade. I'm only 6'3" now, so I didn't grow much more. And the basketball coach at our little school, St. Columba in San Diego, why don't you try basketball? Okay, we'll give it a try. And it was immediately like, I'm like, oh, this is great. And and then I just loved working out and doing it. And then, within a year in those pro leagues, there was a game I scored 40. I scored 38 in another game. I was averaging probably 20 games a year after less than playing 1 year in a little parochial school. So it wasn't club or travel or anything like that.
Buckets are buckets.
Yeah, exactly. So St. Augustine, I went to St. Augustine High School. They're pretty.
Do you know Josh Merrill then?
Josh Merrill went to Chaminade, right? Josh Merrill?
No, Josh Merrill, that's from San Diego. That went to, I'm pretty sure it's St. Augustine.
I graduated in 1990, so I'm not sure.
He just turned, I'm giving his age up. Hold on, let me do the math.
Yeah, I'm 52.
You're 50. Oh, he's like, he went to UCSB. He went to Pepperdine and UCSB. I'm pretty sure.
He must be younger than me.
Yeah, I think he's a slightly younger, but just wondering. Okay, yeah. He's the sports pastor over at Shepherd Church, and so from San Diego, and pretty sure 6'9". He's tall.
Yes, I know him because I know him from Shepherd.
Oh, yes. Yeah, but he's from
He
San
went to
Diego.
Cathedral Catholic.
There we go. Okay,
it was called University of San Diego High School.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's because you said the name. I'm like, yeah, I know Josh, but yeah, he went to the University of San Diego High School.
Got it.
He's a little older than me, I believe, maybe a little younger than me. We didn't play against each other in high school.
Got it.
So, but yeah. So.
On to high school.
Oh yeah. So then they brought me in for a thing, and I went and loved it and went to school there, and so. Played my freshman year at that school. At the time, they said if you're a freshman, you're playing on freshmen. Okay, so that was actually really fun. Which right. I don't agree with that now. If you're good enough, you play up and whatever. But all of us came in together, me and my friends, and we were all freshmen playing together, and that was great. We were killing everybody because other best freshmen were moved up to JV or wherever. Then I was on varsity as a sophomore, and then went on from there, and ended up playing at Cal Lutheran. Steve Spencer recruited me out of Cal Lutheran, and then Mike Dunlap. Once I had a conversation with him, there was nowhere else I was going to go. I was going to play for him, and then my 4 years at Cal Lutheran weren't. I hated playing for him. I hated it.
All right, so I want to rewind just a bit. to your development over those years, like being, I guess, for Dave's, timeline is you started kind of late.
Yeah.
What do you think? What made you excel in basketball so quickly?
I could really shoot the ball really well, but my first step, I was by just about everybody that we played against.
Just the soccer.
From soccer. I'm assuming it's from soccer.
Yeah.
And from all the drills that we did in baseball for getting a quick step up to steal bases from pro trainers. Like this is what they do for a living, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's what I'm guessing is what, because I was by people right away. And then I could finish the shot and so I could score. I couldn't stop anybody on defense. I wouldn't even play for me, or the exhibition league, or some coaches, or I probably would have got better. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I often wonder, and multiple sports is great, and I think that if you play multiple sports, that's awesome, and you should try it. It's really hard to do at the Mission League, but we work it out with the football team and with the basketball team. We try to get everybody to run track.
Right.
But we try to work it out, and we figure it out if kids really want to try. And Michael Wilson, who plays for the Arizona Cardinals now, he played basketball and football and worked it out, but he didn't play his sophomore and junior year because he was really trying to focus on getting in the NFL. Carter Graham went to Stanford and got drafted. He played baseball and basketball. Didn't play his senior year because he had to focus. But if you can do it and you can keep your grades and do it and work up, that's all great. Yeah. So I was able to do that and play basketball and baseball in high school. And I was it was the Mighty 690 back then, was 690 radio sports, was called the Mighty 690, and I won an academic All-American award for having a straight A's and doing well in basketball in the city of San Diego. Wow. So it was great. So that's where I started to really work hard and learn on the basketball court, but I always worked hard because of the training that we had from my buddy's dad. What he put us through, you know, and the people he got to train us when we were young. So we knew the work ethic. And I just transferred over to basketball, and I just didn't really like soccer. And baseball was great. I still love baseball. I watch or listen to every San Diego Padre game still, and go to as many games as I can. But I loved playing basketball, and that's where it happened there, and it went pretty well.
What about it made you love it?
I don't know. I think it was there's 5 people. You have to work together. You have to play offense and defense, and you can't stop playing. Yeah. And if you can't work together with that 5 people, you're not going to have success that are on the floor. And you got to communicate the whole time. And I just like the whole concept of that, running back and forth to do both sides instead of, baseball's a little slower where you switch. And soccer, it's huge field, and some people don't even run on offense. This is 5 people that have to work together or it will not work. And I think I just loved that.
The concept of teamwork, right? So is that something that was ingrained in you from growing up, family, tight-knit, and how did you use those things now you could see it in how your teams play, but for the people who don't know, how did you use those things now? So,
well, then for that part, tight-knit family, my dad still comes to all my games that I coach. Man, it's crazy. And he's actually moved up. Him and my mom have moved up here.
They love beautiful San Diego. I want to retire there.
Exactly. So well, we try to get the program when I try to build the program, and I try to sell it in my parent meeting to the parents and the kids is, look, if you're here because you're chasing a college scholarship, that's fine, but you have to be able to buy into everything that we're doing also. I want you to aspire to go to college. I want you to get out of your head D1, D2, D3, NAI, whatever. It's college. If you can play in college, you can play in college. And when we first took over at Chaminade, and I've been there for 29 years, we were still in shape, and we were straight out of college. Me and Russell White, who's now Cal Lutheran head coach, a couple other guys. Jeff Young was the head coach. His kid just is graduating this year from Clovis West, plays for Clovis West. Okay, and that style, with Vance is great. I think that's best. That's a great way to play. Drive, But we would all play against them. Oh, you guys. And so we took over Chaminade in 1994, and in 1998 we won CIF with that first group, and we went 28-2. We won CIF the next year at 25-5. And one of the things, they were good players, but they practiced against us every day. So we didn't just run drills. When it was time to go, all right, you're going against us. And we're men who played in college going against you, and you want to get there, and you're going to get a reality check right away of, wait, where'd you guys play? Cal Lutheran, Division III. We weren't good enough. I wasn't athletic enough. or whatever, to play at a higher level. And it didn't matter. We were good, and there were some good players that played at Cal Lutheran when we were there, and still now there are. And you guys are struggling against us. What do you think is going to happen when you think that you're going to North Carolina or Kentucky? You know what I mean? Like, you got to keep working and working and working and working. Now, Scott Borchert was one of the top players that we had. He was a freshman on the sophomore on those two teams. He ended up playing at Santa Clara, but he was battling against us every single day. And we were beating on him, making him stronger.
Went through a little adversity.
Better.
And
And now he's back working at Chaminade and he's on our staff. It's great. So
that's awesome. The coaching tree and connections from just Cal Lu. I didn't know Bill Bedgood went there.
Yeah. Mike Delaney, who's playing in the state tournament for Alamany.
Yeah. Mike Delaney too.
Cal Lutheran. Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious. Yeah. that coaching, the relationship there is awesome. So going from high school to college, did you see yourself as a Division I player? Like, what were you thinking during that time? You just like, hey, I got an opportunity, I'm going to go.
One of the advantages of not having social media back then and not having all that stuff is you didn't know any. I mean, you didn't only knew what was around you or what you read in the newspaper or whatever. But again, back to my buddy's dad, who was the trainer for the Padres. You can't control what other people are going to see in you. You can only control and get the best out of what you can do. And so if that leads to someone wanting you to go play at wherever, that's great. So and if not, just reach for the best that you can do. And he goes, these guys that you're in here in the clubhouse with, we're kids. These guys, some of these guys weren't the best at what they did, but their work ethic got them to this point, and they kept going and going and going. Yes. And other people who were more talented maybe didn't make it because their work ethic wasn't there, because maybe they were too talented or they didn't put the work in to harness that talent into something that's going to be a career for them, and they didn't make it, or injuries or whatever. Yeah. So whoever wants you, great. But then there was some D2 like Cal State Dominguez Hills, Azusa Pacific, was ANAI back then. They were all recruiting me. But when I talked to Mike Dunlap, it was a done deal. I'm going to Cal Lu.
Yeah. And this is when Dunlap's at Cal Lu. Was this one of his first gigs?
Yes, I believe I'm going to guess 25 years old.
Okay. So
when he first started, yeah. He was a grad assistant, I think, at Iowa, and then worked with Raveling at Iowa and USC, and then I'm not sure about that. Then he was our coach at Cal Lu.
Man, awesome, yeah. And so not too far from home, so it's, still in Southern California. Going there, so you said you did not like your experience there.
I hated it. No, my experience there was outstanding.
Oh, okay. You hated.
I loved Cal Lutheran.
Oh, okay.
So here's how it works. I hated playing for Mike Dunlap. The day I graduated, maybe I'm going to say a week later, we got the job over at Chaminade. So this is 1994 summer. Jeff Young got the head job. He brought me, Russell, and another guy, Tim, to coach with him. We started coaching, and that week, I loved Coach Dunlap from that point on. And I still talk to him to this day. What I hated was, what I figured out over time now, was I wasn't ready to grow up yet. I wasn't ready to take things seriously. He was trying to get me to grow up. He was trying to get me to take things, all of us, everybody that he coached, to take things serious, trying to get you to work hard, to take care of your body, to not go out partying, to do everything so that you can be the best you can be, to take class seriously. And so the feeling was, man, why is he picking on me all the time? No, he was trying to make me become a man. He was trying to make me grow up. And then when I started coaching kids right away, right afterwards, I realized I'm trying to make the best for these kids. That's what Coach was doing on the phone. Coach, thank you, man.
My bad.
Thank you. You know what I mean? And I still talk to him to this day.
Awesome.
And when he was at St. John's, me and Russell went out to St. John's to stay with him for a week. Like, we've been around with him. So it was rough. I didn't play much. I backed up an All-American at Cal Lutheran, and I didn't work hard enough. I didn't, all that kind of stuff. But those lessons, those taught me the lessons of how to get people to try to work hard to get the most out of them, not out of compared to that guy. So I'm not comparing you to him. I'm comparing you to you. And you need to get the most out of you. And if you get the most out of you, you still might not play over him.
Right.
And that's something that when I meet with parents and at the parent meeting, I talk about. And it has nothing to do with your own child when I meet with the kid. It has nothing to do with you. You want to get the most out of you. And if you get the most out of you, you're going to be successful in life. And you're on the path to success. Yes. But if you worry about other people, You're not. You're going to be worried about other people the rest of your life until you figure it out. You know,
100%.
Yeah.
If you could go back and you were Mike Dunlap and you were you, how could you portray that message to freshman Bryan so that you get it?
Well, it would have gone before that. One of the things that we didn't do in high school was lift weights. We didn't do that. And so I was weaker than some of the other guys, you know, they brought in JC transfers and stuff. But I don't know. I think you have to let, you have to try to get everyone to get to where you think that they want to be, or when you meet with them and they tell you where they want to be, you try to hold them accountable to what they say. But you have to also let them make mistakes, and they got to figure it out, and just guide them along the way, and hopefully those mistakes aren't life-changing mistakes, you know, and that's tough at the college level because, you know, you start going to, drinking and going to bars and all this other stuff that happens, and you're still not even 21 yet for some of that stuff, and then you become 21, and then driving's involved. You know what I mean? It gets out of control, and so you want to make sure that you can get everybody in the right path and figuring it out on their own while trying to guide. So, and he did this race one time where he ran 100 miles in under 24 hours. It was called the Iron Man. It was called
Iron Man or one of those.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And he's telling us stories about it. And like when he was doing it, he was jumping over imaginary dogs because he was hallucinating. You know what? But he wanted to finish. And this guy was, he knew nothing was going to stop this guy, Mike Dunlap. And like he had to stay in the hospital afterwards. His toenails fell off. Like all this stuff, right? He's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So me and this other guy, JR, we were late to a morning practice, and he took us on a run. And if you get taken on a run by Coach Dunlap, it was the worst that I've ever been through. It was up in the hills of Cal Lutheran. He actually left me out there. I couldn't keep going. I was wheezing. I couldn't breathe anymore. All right, and he's yelling at you all the time, and it's using words and
I like that.
Coming at, it was
a good
great.
consequence.
It was great, and so I made myself way back, and I was in bed for like 2 days, and I couldn't do it, and then make the decision. Do you want to work or do you not want to work? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. No, I like
don't
that.
be late.
It was a seed that was planted, and then it finally bloomed after.
And you made a comment when you got here. Oh, you beat me here. Yeah. I'm early there. I was never late again. I was never. And now my wife's like, it's way too early. We have to go now. Yeah, we're not going to be late. We're going. Let's go. You know what I mean? I'm not. That's just built in me now, and that was one of those.
Man,
one of those
that's awesome
times that I had to pay the consequence. So.
I love it.
But yeah, I love him. I love Coach Dunlap to death. So.
Yeah, it sounds like you had some great mentors and people who kind of gave you a formula. Growing up with the workouts with your friends, your friend's dad. A high school coach was pretty instrumental in the basketball part of it.
Now we got a new coach my senior year. So my first 3 years, it was a guy who coached. We'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
My senior year, Jeff Armstrong came in. Jeff Armstrong was a NAI. He played at Point Loma, played at Missouri, broke his leg, and then came back like a lot of people do and went to a smaller school and went to NAIA. I think it was NAI. Point Loma Nazarene was NAI at the time. I don't know if they still are. Won 2 national championships. Had a tryout, didn't make the Lakers. Ended up playing on the Washington Generals.
Oh, wow.
Against the Harlem Globetrotters all the time.
Oh, cool.
I said, how was that experience? And he has now passed away. But one of the things he said was, oh man, if we just played regular games, we'd beat those guys. But it's a show. What I mean? I'm like, yeah, right, sure you would. He could play. He was really good. But he was also friends with Mike Dunlap. And he used to run one of the divisions for Magic Johnson basketball camp up at Cal Lutheran. And Mike Dunlap was one of the people running those divisions also. So once that's where I really started learning about basketball was when he came in. I'm like, I never even thought about an angle on a screen. I never even thought about like all the stuff we started. He started, but I was only with him for like 4 months. And then he helped send me on to Dunlap too. And so that's
that's the connection. Got it.
Yeah.
And so were you working those camps as well?
Yeah.
Through your time at Cal?
Those were the best. Those were.
Yeah. So why were they the best?
Because Magic was there and he brought all the other guys in. Magic had a policy. Back then, I don't know if I'm sure he doesn't do this anymore. Back then, I don't know if he did it all the time. He would play everybody in the camp. So he would play the little kids 10-on-1. He'd play them, but he'd out there playing with them. He'd play the really good college players 1-on-1, and then that kind of stuff. I didn't play him 1-on-1, but I played in 5-on-5 with him. And we would play, so you'd work the camp, and then the pickup games, and it was overnight camp. So you work the camp, kids go to sleep, pickup games would start at like midnight, and they were legit. All college players, all level, pro players, and they were just a blast because you're competing and you're competing and you're competing. And So at the end of the camp, they play the 5-on-5 game we play, and then and this is I come off a screen, I catch it, Magic rotates over to me, I knock a shot down, and he's coming at me, and I tap him on the butt. I'm like, there you go, you know what I mean? And he's like, oh, and then he goes, well, I'm going to show you what I am, and then he just knocked me down, layup. I'm Magic Johnson. I'm not going to let anybody show me. You know,
right.
This is why I'm Magic Johnson and you're not. You know, and he would tell that to the player. He didn't lose to anybody. He beat everybody in the thing. The 5-on-5, his team won. Everyone he played 1-on-1, he beat them. And one guy, Quentin, I can't remember Quentin's last name. Played at Brown, I believe, and he was up 2-0 on Magic, and then Magic stopped. He only played him to 3, and Magic stopped him and scored 3 times in a row. And he's like, "You're close. You're close. You're almost there. Keep working." You know, that kind of thing. But I remember that. But yeah, but his main thing was, I step on the court and I'm no longer, hey, I'm Matt, you know, the nice whatever. I'm gonna beat you. Yeah. And yes, because that's who he was. That's why who he is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's
sounds like basketball heaven. I'm sorry, I'm going through my mind like just the midnight hooping and all that great stuff.
Yeah.
So you got into coaching pretty quick after you were done with college.
Yeah, right away.
When did you know that you were going to be a coach?
Probably freshman or sophomore year in college.
Why?
Well, I wanted to help kids in the best way that I thought I could help kids. And that meant become a teacher. Cal Lutheran does a great job of educating people to become teachers. I knew I wasn't going to play after college. And I wanted to, and when working camps, working with the kids, I loved teaching. I loved working with them. I started learning more because I was teaching. And I wanted to do the best way I could. I thought that would be the best way I could help kids. You know,
awesome. So you guys got an opportunity at Chaminade. You guys went as a group of players that are...
Yeah. 3 of us were players, and 1 was a friend from back east.
Got it. Okay, and so you guys got the job at Chaminade.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first thing you guys did? What year is this now?
1994, summer of 94.
94.
Yeah, so we get in there, and they weren't very good in previous years. And the first 3 weeks of practice, I believe it was first 3 weeks, I can't remember the exact time frame, we didn't even use a ball. And so a lot of people decided not to play. Okay, good, we're weeding people out, you know what I mean? And we didn't even use a ball, and it was all defensive transition stuff, all positioning stuff, that kind of thing. Even we set up this game called Cutthroat, or we would run Cutthroat with no ball and just moving to the spots, cutting, you got to cut, pass and cut. But coach, I'm not even throwing a ball. Just do it, you know. And then that's how we started off. And then we played a couple games and got blown out and in the summertime. And then the season started, and we did pretty well. There was a kid on the team who was very good. His name was Mike Yang. He was a senior, and we were able to put everything around him. We ended up making the playoffs, and we lost in like a buzzer beater. I can't remember against who, maybe Oak Park. We lost at a buzzer beater, and he said, I'm going to Kentucky. Okay, go ahead.
The state?
The University of Kentucky, to play for Rick Pitino, who was coaching at the time. Okay. So he went and he enrolled, and they had a walk-on tryouts, and he tried out, and he made the team. And
I love that.
we didn't believe him.
Speak it.
We didn't believe him, but he was good. He was 40-minute or 32-minute kid, and in a stand, he was good. He had never been coached before. That's when we first started. We're like, these guys aren't great. But then we're like, okay, this guy, there's some other guys.
Right.
You know, we started, and so we call up. I'm like, he's lying. He didn't make the team. We know he's in Kentucky. We know he's there, or at least his mom says he's there. There was no cell phones. You know what I mean? So we call up the office. Yeah, can we talk to Mike Yang? Oh no, he's in practice right now with Coach Pitino. yeah, he's in practice too. What? Anyway, so
that's crazy.
But he only made it through 1 year, and then ended up leaving college and whatever. But then that was our first year with Mike Gang, and then
your first year, you had a kid who went to Kentucky. That's a good
and walked on, that. Right? Yeah. And so Scott Long was a freshman. Justin Stewart. We had a really good freshman group. Russell coached the freshmen. I coached the JV, and we got them ready to play varsity. Then we both were assistants on the varsity. We all lived in the same house. Everything, we all learned from the same person. So Jeff Young, Tim, myself, and Russell, everything was the same. There was nothing, you know, and then when those guys became seniors, we won CIF. We actually, in their sophomore year, we got to semifinals and got knocked out by Morningside. And then their senior year, we got 28 wins. And
Were you guys running the same stuff you ran at Kalu and just brought it down, or what was?
Yeah, we adapted a little bit because you're not out there recruiting kids to come into your system, so you got to adapt it a little bit based on what you had, and we did.
Did recruiting exist at any level at that point? Like, or were they just like, or they knew that? Yeah, how did that work in the 90s?
I'm not. I will being a private school back then. I mean, people still talk a little bit about private versus public, although anyone can go anywhere now, so it doesn't.
Right.
I think it's kind of balanced off. So a little bit, but well, it is. Roosevelt's public, Centennial's public. I mean, like in basketball, there's others, and so. But back then, I think there was a pretty big separation, and so if someone was able to come or knew about coming, and then they would come and try to go. But I don't know about recruiting. What we were focused on was we didn't have huddle, so there wasn't sharing of film.
Right.
So we actually drove everywhere to where we might play. I remember Russell drove 2.5 hours or 3 hours once to 29 Palms to film them for half a game.
He actually talked about that on this show.
Yeah,
Yes.
in case we played them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then, but anyway, so the recruiting part, you asked about recruiting. So the recruiting part, I don't recall any of that.
I was just interested. I was just interested to know, like, because you guys got good, but it was more from the development process that you went from the frosh to the JV. There's actually,
which I still want to try to do.
And, that's what they do. Clovis West. You talk about Clovis West. They have those kids from like 8, 10 years old.
Fourth grade.
Doing the same thing, running the dribble drive and developing in their open division every year up north. And, I'm huge. That's what core exists. Is like, man, there has to be a development to get to that next level, and we do it more of a broad thing because all these kids go to all these schools now. But I think that's what Adam Silver's talking about with the NBA. Like, you go to these club teams internationally, they have kids teaching them how to play the right way in certain systems from a young age.
I might be mistaken, but I believe high school basketball is only relevant in the United States of America. I don't think high school basketball is relevant anywhere else. It's all club, I believe.
That makes sense.
I think everything is run through club in every other country. I'm not positive, but I think so.
No, that makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah. How do we change that? Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't know, but I like coaching high school kids. So,
so let's keep it how it is then.
If it goes that way, great. Here's whoever I have is who I have. Let's go. Let's work. Let's go. Let's do it. It's kind of like coaching at a middle school or youth. It's just, it's all right. Let's see what we got. I'm going to try to create an offense that's going to work with this group, not go bring in people who are going to go with whatever. That's college. That to me, that's what college is supposed to be.
100%. Yeah. All right. So going into Chaminade, so you were a teacher as well at the time?
Yes.
Okay.
I taught at the middle school. I was a PE teacher. I don't know how that job opened up because it's the greatest job you could possibly get. And it did, and I was doing that at the time, at the middle school, and then coaching at the high school.
Awesome. And then so there for 29 years, you start off as an assistant coach. What was your progression of a coach? When did you get the head job in that whole?
I think I got the head job in 2001. I believe, maybe 2002, somewhere around there, and then it was 7 years, and then and then the same thing with my kids. I'm like, I want to coach my kids. I want to be around my kids. You know what I mean, and that kind of thing. So I stopped coaching and got into administration. I was a dean of students for 10 years. So I was actually a dean of students and the head basketball coach at the same time, which was challenging while getting my master's at night while having little kids.
Oh,
it was a lot of stuff.
It's like we pile it on at the right time.
It was a lot of stuff. So, but then I think it was 7 years, and then I was off for a few, and then now I've been back for 7 years coaching. So I believe I've been the head coach for 14 total years in two different
stints.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So in taking over the first time, what was your going in there? You had won 2 CIF titles to that point, taking over the program. What were you doing to elevate it, to get it to the next level?
Just keeping going what we were doing. It was because it was, we were all coaching together. So it wasn't like I came into something new that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
So it was the same thing. It was just stepping into the role as head coach, and then I was joking with Russell White about this maybe a couple months ago. I'm like, man, I'm a really good assistant coach. I think I'm a great assistant coach. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I just, I think I'm a good high school head coach too, but I would say I'm a better assistant coach than I am a head coach. And he's like, then we go on, you're crazy, whatever. But then, so the moving, what everyone doesn't know is when you become the head coach is everything that the head coach deals with, with the dean calling you because something happened in school, or a teacher calling you because of the grades, or a parent calling because of whatever they want to call about, or because that all goes to the head coach, and then the scheduling and the practicing, or the scheduling of, tournaments and which ones are right, which ones are not right, and it's travel commitments if you're going to travel. And we travel everywhere. We travel all the time. It's great. All that kind of stuff goes into it. Now it's second nature. Now I got it down. But at first, trying to balance all of that with the worry in my head, did I mess this up? Don't mess this up, because you want the kids to have a great experience.
Could you write a course on that now?
Yes, I think so.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest, especially in Southern California. You have, coaches from out of town, or guys who have been a part of a system stepping in and all that, and they don't see the details and the intricacies that go into being a head coach. All those things that you named. You want to make some extra income to fund your next kid's college education, man. Build a course focused on, hey, when I step into this position, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And it'd be, what if you were to say the 3 most important things in doing that, what would it be?
If I was to write a book or write a course?
No, 3 things. Yes, about the same topic, but 3 things that you would tell somebody stepping into a new coaching role about what to expect.
Yeah, well, time commitment is important, and the use of the time is really important, because, I'm also, like right now I'm an associate athletic director, so I'm in charge of scheduling all the field and gym and weight room, all the facility time. And the athletic director just asked me like 2 days ago, actually, don't you say this, hey, we're going to add something to your position where you're going to meet with all new coaches and go over everything and how they should be doing everything. I'm like, oh, that's great. It's kind of what you're talking about. Yeah. So he asked me 2 days ago to do that. I go, yes, let me write it all up. He goes, yeah, no, it's all you. So I'm actually going to be doing what you just kind of mentioned. But it's about time commitment and time. And it's not about, I have a 3-hour block of time for the gym. Okay. What did you do in that 3 hours?
Yeah.
Well, you don't need the gym to stretch. You don't need the gym to meet. We have 1 gym, and we got 3 boys teams. We're going to have 2 girls teams next year. We got 3 volleyball girls teams. We got 2 volleyball boys teams. We got cheer and dance. We got all these things in 1 gym, and so I have to balance all of that out. So I talk to coaches too, and this is one of the things is, look, your time it needs to be valuable time. You can get the workout that you might have just, like if I watched something, the workout you just did, you could have done in 45 minutes. You did it in 3 hours. Well, what do you mean? I go, well, you did this, then you wait. Then there was like a 15-minute break where kids were just having water and sitting around talking. That's after. That's why we have a team room. They go in a team room to build a camaraderie. So move on to the next thing. Yes, they need to get a water. You get a quick water break for a minute or 2, whatever you think is, and then you're right back into the next thing. And you work, and then right back, and you're done. I mean, a basketball game, a high school basketball game, if officiated well and played well, is an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For a game, and you could get that time frame done. So the time of, I need a 2-hour block. Well, for what? I need a 3-hour block. For what? You know what I mean? So you can get your work done in time efficiency. That's a main thing. The number 1 most important thing is communication, and so it's one of the things when parents talk to me, they thank me about my communication, and I think that I'm really, really strong at communicating with people in my program. Yeah. I do not think I'm strong at all communicating with people outside of my program. I don't know why. I sometimes I feel, do they really want to hear from me? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, do they care what I have to say? Like, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. But the people in my program, I have very communicative. So I do a weekly email that has a table of contents, and so if you need to know, you only need to know one thing, you can go to that one, you can know right where to scroll down. It's got information on it. I condense it as the year goes on, it gets shorter and shorter. The headings are still there, but the information in it gets shorter and shorter because you don't need to repeat everything. Right. So they can find stuff. I give a link to our calendar every time on that email. I have a calendar that's a live calendar that I update constantly so they can go right to the calendar and look. I do a PowerPoint presentation. It takes about an hour and 15, hour and a half for all the parents that need to go to it, which explains everything out and how the communication works, how they're supposed to act at games, how
are they supposed to act?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's talk about this.
Jump to that.
So, yes, because coaches don't have these things in place, right? Trey Meeks used to have the 10 parent commandments, right? I love that freaking thing. And so What are your, simplified, your rules and regulations for parents?
Well, here's the thing too. It's also, you can't just have it. You have to live it, and you have to continually bring it up if necessary, right? And so, well, number one, like at a game, number one, we can't play the game if we don't have referees, okay? So right now, I tell them this, we run referee clinics in the summer at Chaminade, a varsity weekend and a JV weekend. It's great. There's a lot of people in there trying. They're paying to be part of the camp to the referee association, and then they all come in and they're working to be better at their craft. They're human beings also, right? And so we can't play without them. Right now, we're having trouble scheduling volleyball games, track meets, and stuff because there's not officials. People are tired of getting screamed and yelled at, and they're like, why do I do this? And then COVID hit, and people realizing, I don't need to do this. Right. And so we need younger people to come in to officiate. So we had a baseball game yesterday that we played because we were able to get one umpire at the baseball game because people don't want to be doing it anymore. So we do these referee clinics, and before each game, I get up in front of, and I get a microphone, and I get in front of the crowd. I go, hey, thank you all for coming to the basketball game. It's summertime. It's exciting. Your kids, I talk about how your kids are trying to impress the coach, and the coach are trying to work on new things. And I go, and this is a referee clinic. Look around. There's a lot of referees standing on the sideline. They're going to be coming in and out. High school basketball will be over for lower levels if we don't have referees that want to officiate games 10 years from now. There'll be no more lower level high school basketball because people are aging out and we're not filling in those spots. And so what I'm asking you to do is please do not yell at the referees. They are working on their craft. People, standing ovation. Like, people are standing up clapping. Referees are, thank you very much. And the games are awesome. And
that's why you guys get calls.
The referees are messing up the entire time. Like, they're making so many mistakes. But no one's yelling at them, and so they're trying to get better. So you know what happens is now people aren't yelling at the refs. What the coaches tend to stop yelling. Now the referees are coming over, and we're having a conversation that no one can hear, and then they go out and officiate. That's not how I saw it. What am I supposed to say? Or keep a better eye off, or look at this, or look at that. Instead of referees walking to their side, now I have to yell at the referee to get his attention of something that I want him to see, that we've maybe seen in film, that we told him about to keep an eye up, but they don't want to come over, so now I have to yell at that. So I'm yelling, so now the parents start yelling, everyone's yelling, when all you have to do is go stand next to the coach. Now, if the coach, if you go stand next to a coach and the coach gets in your face and starts berating you, great. Don't go stand next to that coach anymore. He's lost his right for you to be doing that. He shouldn't be doing that. Have a conversation. Everyone needs to remember this is about the kids, right? Yes. Everyone. The refs, the parents, the coaches, the CIF, everybody needs to remember this is about these kids, right? And it's not about getting the kids to college. It's about the kids enjoying high school sports and the camaraderie that comes with it. And so one of the major things is don't yell at the refs. Now, I'm not telling you not to every now and then, or whatever, but to constantly just berate and yell at a ref, please don't do that. We don't want that as part of Chaminade basketball. And do parents do it still? Yes. Then you got to try to curtail it. And do I yell sometimes? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But we got to try to curtail it, and move in the right direction for that. So that's one thing. And then the communication. Number one, and I tell this, we're a private school, so our school has tours, and you have to apply, and you come and do a tour. Yeah. So if you want to talk to me, you got to go do a tour. And so go do a tour, and then I'm on campus. As part of the tour is you go meet whoever you want to meet, teachers or coaches or principal, whoever. Right. So you want to meet, then we can talk, right? No problem. We'll talk, and the first thing I talk about is grades, right, and academics. But the one thing that I will, in part of this parent meeting, one thing I will never talk about is your son's playing time, ever. Never do I talk about it. And if we're having a meeting and you all of a sudden bring up playing time, the meeting is over. Or we're done with that, move on to a different subject. I will talk to playing time with your son 20 hours a day if he needs it. Whatever he needs to get himself in the right mind frame playing time, but I will never talk to the parents about playing time. Everything is equal. If we go on a trip, everyone goes on a trip, including managers. If we get shoes, everyone gets shoes, including the manager. Everybody gets everything equally except playing time. That is earned in practice. And then when the game starts, your playing time is earned in that game to finish that game. Because if you're not playing well or you're not doing well, then someone else is. You ain't going back. They're gonna take your minutes. Yes. Now the next game you don't lose your minutes. You've earned them, right? But maybe that wasn't your day. You know what I mean? And the point of when we suit up against another school and we're wearing our uniform, the point is to try to win the game. And so that might be the case. So then, if that happens, and this is, at the parent meeting, if that happens, Don't call me that night about why your son didn't play that much. Ask your son.
They know.
And if your son does, and a lot of times, well, he doesn't want to talk to me. And I know this because my son didn't want to talk to me. You know, I get it. He goes right to his room. You know, I tell the parents too, listen, it's not just your son that's going right to their room. I'm actually going to add this now. I just thought of this right now. I'm going to add this to my PowerPoint next time. Raise your hand right now, parents, if your son just goes right to his room. And they're all going to raise their hands. You know, they're teenagers. That's what they do. They don't want to talk to you about it. Like they want, or maybe they do, but they don't. They really want to just. They had a bad game. They want to get over it and move on.
Process.
And I guarantee you, when that game ended, in the locker room, I didn't leave without talking to that player. Individually, in my office or just right there. Hey, it wasn't your night tonight. You weren't doing this. At least that's what I saw. If you felt differently, then I apologize. But that's what was going on. But you're not losing. Tomorrow in practice, you're going to lead this team and you're going to show them how you know. And you have these meetings with the kids. Parents don't know about those meetings, and I'm not going to tell the parents that I had a meeting with their kid. Right. It's not about. Show up and cheer the team on. You know what I mean? And if you have any questions, ask your kid, right? And if your kid doesn't want to answer or says something and you don't like it, then ask the head coach. So ask the freshman head coach. Sorry. Send your kid to talk to the freshman head coach. Have your son talk to the freshman head coach or the JV head coach. You don't like that. You and your kid meet with our head coach. They're head coaches. They have to learn how to meet.
Yes.
You don't like that, then you can call me. You don't like me, then go to the athletic director or whatever. You know, you don't just jump right to the principal of the school or the president of the school because your son got 12 less minutes than he got the last game. You know what I mean?
Right,
or never plays. Talk it out first. And almost every one of them, I didn't really talk to him yet. You're right. Talk to him. Go talk to him, you know, and that kind of deal. So, but I will meet with parents about anything.
Right.
Except playing time. Yeah, anything at all.
I love it. No, yeah, I think that was me growing up. My mom never, I didn't even know she was at the games that she was, and I learned the most that way. So I agree with that.
But when I tell people that on tours, I think some of them don't want to, you know, separates who wants to come and not come. So,
yeah, no, and I think that's good. The expectation is set for what is going to happen. And it is really tough for kids to understand why they're not playing, though, nowadays, right? Because they don't understand basketball fully. And so how do those conversations go with those players?
They're great. They're great. It's part of the growing process. Like high school, you're supposed to learn. Parents are supposed, like freshman year, maybe help them out or guide them a little bit. But by sophomore and junior year, if they're not communicating with their teachers and they're not communicating with their coaches and the other adults on campus, like they're a junior, in less than 2 years, they're going to be living on their own if they're going to college. They're going to be in a dorm in less than 2 years. At what point are they supposed to learn how to communicate with somebody? Let them, you know, and most parents do, in our program at least, but they're probably because of my first conversations with them, you know what I mean? But, you know, and I've been around a long time, and I was a dean of students when I was dealing with like real life changing things. But anyway, but in this situation, like let them figure it out, you know. And then if you want to talk with me about, hey, how'd that meeting go? I'll talk to you about how that meeting went because I want us to work together. But what I don't want is you to come in and I haven't even talked to wait, I didn't know that was going on. Your son didn't tell me that, you know. And I've actually. This has only happened a couple times, and this was years ago, where I'm like, no, I don't know about that. Let's bring your son in, and the kid. I lied. Sorry, mom and dad. That's not what happened. And the parents are like, we're so sorry. And so I tell a little story about that too on parent meeting, because don't pressure your kids into getting the answer that you want because you don't like the playing time that your kid's getting. This is the Mission League. You know what I mean? Like, this is big boys. You know what I mean? This is tough, you know. We're playing against NBA players, you know, and if KJ makes it, he'll be our first NBA player at Chaminade. You know what I mean? Now, Kenyon Martin came for a year, but he didn't graduate from Chaminade. He's in the NBA now. Right. But he was only there for a year, you know what I mean? So as a Chaminade graduate, KJ Simpson has a legitimate chance to make the NBA, and he'll be the first NBA player that Chaminade's ever had. And we're playing against teams that have multiple NBA players and high-level basketball players. And the challenge is awesome. You know what I mean? And so we talk about that, and it goes back to the comparing yourself to somebody else. You got to compare yourself to you. So a lot of times when I'm talking to someone about it, well, let's talk about your week. What happened on Sunday? Well, I was okay. It was a good day. You know, it was good. Well, did you get your schoolwork done? No, I got caught behind. Oh, so already on your mind is you're missing some schoolwork that you didn't get caught up on. So you got that on your mind. So that's weighing down. How's it go with your girlfriend this week? Oh, well, she got mad at me about something. Yeah, okay, well, you got that on your mind. Yeah. Did you get in trouble? Yeah, I didn't clean my room or whatever. I got in trouble. I got a speeding ticket. Or, you know what I mean? You got that on your mind. Whatever it is. All this has nothing to do with basketball, but it affects how you play on the court because it's on your mind. So then I try to help them get through that. You know,
how do you start those conversations? I think coaches struggle with having a personal touch and relationship with these student athletes sometimes. And I have to bring it up because I think it's it's important to when they're a different race.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's tough for some coaches, a white coach, to communicate to a black player or the other way around. How do you approach those? How do you get to the space where you're comfortable having those conversations?
Well, that has to happen from the first time you meet them and the first time you step on campus to be a part of your program. And it comes from those. And it comes from them communicating with the older kids about the trust level they have in me. And so I tell our older kids, hey, remember when you were freshmen, how you were struggling with this and this? Hey, I think that, this guy's, let's go talk to him a little bit. Let's see how he's doing. And then the seniors or juniors will come back and go, hey, this is what's going on. All right, good. And then make sure they know that they doesn't have to be me. They can talk to CJ or they can, the other coaches. But whoever it is would do it. Most of the time it's me or CJ they're talking to. I would consider CJ my co-head coach. You know what I mean? And so most of the time it's us that the kids are talking to. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I want you to go deal with this one. You know what I mean? I think he's going to connect better with you to some of our younger coaches because I'm in my 50s now. But we have a coach who's in his early 20s. We have a coach who's in his early 30s. I'm like, and you guys are always working them out. Why don't you have a shot at talking with them right now? And so they do. And they know that they have that open communication. They can't just guess that there's open communication. They have to see it.
Yeah.
And they have to believe it. And then they start believing it and seeing it because the older kids went through it and they trust in those kids to know where to go and talk with them. So.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Just a check-in, a mental check-in.
Yeah, you can't just all of a sudden do it. That's not possible. And so I was the dean of students for 10 years. I would have parents come into me with their seniors like, Mr. Cantwell, he doesn't come home at night, he doesn't call, he doesn't text, he doesn't do anything. What am I supposed to do? And I just like, it's too late. He's 18 years old. It's too late. What you should be working out right now is to try to make sure that you're friends with them after college and help them any way you can and get that trust going. Because you should have been giving them some leeway when they were 13, 14, 15, letting them go out with their friends on their own when they're 16, keeping in touch, but letting them, all that stuff happen. Or instead of just, no, you can't do this, or yes, you can't do that, or no, you can't do that. And every kid is different, every family dynamic is different. But, it's tough because if you're all of a sudden just trying to do it when something really major and bad happened, it's too late. It's not too late for the kid or the family, but it's too late to fix how you want it to be fixed. Yeah. And so we got to build that trust right from the beginning, or start to, and the way we do it is by using the older kids to let them know that they can trust and that we're going to have their back. You know what I mean?
A built-in mentorship program.
And we have this, and the junior seniors are mentoring. We have a lot of things we do together with the freshman team, JVB, and varsity team together. Not 5 or 6 a year. We'll start off the summer with a beach day. We're all going to the beach, and we do stuff on the beach, and then we have a big picnic at the beach with families are all there, and everyone gets to meet each other, know each other. It's our first thing we're going to do in the summer. So that'll be what we do on June, the day after graduation, June 2nd, with our new kids. That starts it. You know what I mean? And so I feel that I learned that through Chaminade and the way that Chaminade handles incoming freshmen and with mentors with juniors and seniors and how they do that. And so I think that helped me develop that into the basketball program with the Marianist ideal, which is the side. And what would Mary do? The mother of Jesus, what would she do? Well, she would be nurturing. She'd be hard. You got to do this. But be nurturing in the fact to try to get people to where to go. And the answer is not always yes. You know what I mean? So sometimes the answer is no, and a lot of times the answer is no. But the answer is no that I try to help come up with the answer of being no in communication with the kids because they're like, oh, I had some input in that. Yeah, you should have input in every decision in your life, but it doesn't mean the answer is going to go your way.
Right. I love that, man. Yeah. I love that every coach should have a dean of students role at some point or another to get that perspective about the overall.
I think Andre did it too. I think he did. I'm not positive. I think he was a dean once one time.
You get that. All right, so man, we hopped all over the place, but it was great information. So going into Chaminade, early 2000s through, let's say, your first stint, those first 7 years, right? Those first 7 years before you took the hiatus. What did you accomplish? What are some memorable moments just through your first years?
The most memorable moments for me are not on the court. Because if I have to think, my memory is not great. I take notes. I write a lot of stuff down. I actually have a notebook in here. When I go meet with Bill, I'll be writing stuff down when I'm talking with him. The most memorable things for me, on the court, I remember the losses. Man, in that game we did this and this happened. We could have done this. Well, what about you guys? You won some great games. Yeah, I don't really remember what happened in those. You know what I mean? But the most memorable things are the kids coming back, or dropping me a text, or dropping me an email, or just stopping by.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, I love it. And not everyone has a great experience. So there's some kids I haven't talked to since they were done. But other ones, I'm not big on social media, but I do input like when we finish a game, I put the score and the scorers in or whatever. And then like this guy, Jim Lefebvre, who played for us years ago, right? Always hits the like on it. Every time. And I'm like, man, Jim Lefebvre's still following us. You know what I mean? I love Jim. I want to see that guy. I wonder what he's doing. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And so I love it when they come back. And right now, my freshman coach is a Chaminade alum who played basketball for us. My strength training coach is a Chaminade alum who played basketball for us. Scott Borchard is an assistant coach who played. He's one of the best. He's probably, top 5 player to ever play at Chaminade. I think he's the 4th leading scorer. He's coaching with us. So I love having that happen. And I love it when their parents come back and just hang out at the games, right? So the 2 parents that did our clock this year, their sons graduated 2 years ago. And every year hey, we want to do the clock again. That's great. Let us do the clock again. All right, they're volunteering to do the clock and their kids don't even play in our program anymore. And they come back and do it. I love that. That tells me that I'm doing something right for them. Now, some people don't like the way I do things or what I do, and that's okay. Not everyone's going to like it. We've had kids transfer out and families transfer out. We have kids transfer in, and we could talk about that another time, or later. But what I think is that what I like is that when they come back and that just shows me that I was doing something right. They like the experience.
Yeah, you built a culture, something they want to come back to. I talk about that all the time. I almost judge programs. I tell parents this when they're assessing high schools. It's like, hey, see how many of their alumni go back and hang out, go back and go work out in their gym. It tells you a lot about who that
working in our gym is all of them. They all come back.
Yeah, right. I work out in your gym. I didn't go there. Yeah, no, that's a huge part of it because it shows who you were and the culture of the school all the way around. So, so you took this hiatus. How long was the hiatus for?
I'm gonna guess it might have been 7 years. Well, it's weird. It might have been 6 or 7 years. 6 or 7. I'm not sure how many years Todd Wolfson was. Todd Wolfson was an assistant coach for me for 1 year, and I was planning on stepping down after he was with me maybe 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. But I felt really confident. I'm like, Todd he's going to do a good job. Yeah. And so I went to the administration and said, look, I'm ready to step down if we name Todd. Don't open this up. He's ready. If he's not ready, I'm staying on. And then we'll see how it goes. And I guess they didn't say yes, but they said, we'll consider that. We'll consider that.
This is 09?
Something around there, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is when I moved back to the Valley because when I was, Joe Bunasar was there working guys out and stuff, and that's when Todd was around.
Right.
So
I still talk to Joe all the time, too.
Was it Dennis? No.
Who's that?
I'm trying to remember. It was Jordan
O'Gundrian and
Michael.
Michael Guinea still come back and work out when they're in town.
Yeah,
they still come. They're great.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love those guys. When those guys are done playing, I want them coaching. And I've told Jordan, we need you to coach with us, man. And Michael, when you come back, come on, man, you got to coach with us. We'll see what happens. They're great. So I'm going to say maybe 6 or 7 years that I was in between, and I was at every game, and I sat in a chair on the baseline, just watched every game, and it was great. And
so you enjoyed that. You enjoyed. Yeah.
Well, because I was working my own children out. So when I first started, okay, I want to be a coach, right? And I decided I wanted to be a high school coach because I wanted to and I don't want this to sound bad. I wanted to know my family. A lot of college coaches have issues with their families or don't know their kids or whatever, you know what I mean? Because they're jumping around, but maybe they don't want to move the family, or they're moving your kids around all the time. Maybe the kids are upset, and a college coach is never around. They're always traveling or recruiting or whatever. I wanted to be a high school coach because I wanted to coach kids and make the difference in coaching, but also I wanted to be a dad, and so that gave me a chance to be a dad. And I coached Little League baseball and flag football and soccer and basketball, whatever it was. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it.
No, that's great. That's why I haven't coached, is for that same reason. It's good to hear somebody did. And then you came back and started winning again and kind of stuck to it. So it's good to know it's possible. Yeah. And when did you know it was the right time to come back?
Well, when we had 3 different head coaches in a row, and now my kids were in high school. So now my youngest was a little younger, but we could work that we were able to work it out. We were able to work it out, and so that was good.
Yeah, so it was more for the program that you have helped build for so many years, and you saw little turmoil and change and what it was, and so you wanted to come and steady the ship.
Yeah.
And I've done great since
Thanks.
the return at that. And
I enjoy it.
We're speaking about all this because I think it's important is that your wife had to be very understanding and instrumental in this.
This might sound weird, right? I am of the opinion, don't let things hang, right? Like if there's something going on. So like I tell my parents this too, my parents, if you email me something, I'm probably going to call you. Because I'm not going to go back and forth email or text where something gets misread or whatever. We're going to have a conversation. And so I do that. So when I first met my wife, I was in teaching credential school at National University, going to National University was great because you can go take a class in a month or whatever. And that's where I met her, right? And we went on a date we watched the Mike Tyson fight. I remember this at my house. So there's all these guys and her, right? And some of their girlfriends were there. And then we went to Denny's and we were just talking and having milkshakes or whatever. I went home and I called my dad and said, I just met my wife. And she called her parents and said the same thing. Yeah.
After the first date?
We were married 9 months later. And so and we've been together ever since. That was 1997, so whatever that is, 27 years. Yeah. So we've been together ever since. But one of the things I said was, look, this is what I do. I coach. I'm going to be gone a lot coaching, but I'm going to be home every night. I'm going to be working out. I'm going to, that's how it works. I go, I'm not going to move to the college level because of what in my mind happens with college coaches and their families a lot of the times. I'm going to stay in high school and this is what I'm going to do. And she's a teacher also, so she was like, no problem. And then I think we went on a CIF run. And she's like, man, this is a lot of time. And I'm like, I know, this is how it is. She's like, you're right, and this is great. I love it. So she would make cookies for the team. She would make little things for the players. Like she was great, right? And she still does this. And even when we didn't know kids on the team back then. She would do all this stuff. She now teaches at Chaminade. She's the health teacher. She teaches all the ninth graders. Both my older kids graduated from Chaminade. My son is now sophomore at Chaminade. My sister teaches at our middle school. My niece and nephew both graduated from Chaminade. Everybody is bought in to Chaminade. And she is completely bought in. And
that's awesome.
Kids will call her up, hey, I need a ride, Mrs. Cantwell, can you give me a ride? Or I need some food or whatever. So right now we have the benefit of having someone. This was a huge benefit coming back because I've always had one of my kids in the program since I came back.
Oh wow!
Which means anyone can come to our house because you're not just going to the coach's house, randomly. You're going to Khalil's house, who's my son, or Caden's house. So kids will come over and eat before practice or hang out and do their schoolwork, and she tutors them. She's all bought in. We are the same, and we are bought into this. So.
No, that's awesome. I think it's always important to have that support. Like you said, and you don't let things linger and hang and straight to the point. Yeah. And the expectation was that, hey, this is what it is. Yeah. And to balance it, that you had the wherewithal to like, hey, I got to take a break from this so I can raise my kids. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. You can still be that coach that you want to be later on.
I think I learned this from my parents who are still together. I learned this like at a really early age, seeing how they were with each other, and they were super young. I think my mom was 18, and he joined the Navy, and they got out of their small little town in New York. But if you're not happy with yourself, how can you bring someone else into it? You have to, and then Coach Dunlap kept going at me about being happy with myself, and that's when I realized what I want to be. So the fact that when I met her, and I did not want to get married. I didn't want to do, I didn't want to. But when I met her, that it was all over. Like I was at a place in my life where I was happy with myself. I had a job working with kids. I was coaching basketball. I was still playing basketball. I was working out all the time. I was happy with my life and what I was doing. If I would have met her maybe 2 years earlier, maybe it wouldn't have worked out because I wasn't where I needed to be yet. And so a lot of times things don't work out because people change themselves so that they can be with someone else. But we met at the right time, and we've evolved together. And that's you can't bring someone else in if you're not happy. That's a huge thing for me. So.
No, that is the best advice ever given on this show. I think so. Thank you for that. No, it was Robert Eichart was actually on the show. The last episode, and he talked to us about this after the show, was how important it was about making sure you balance your marriage when you're a coach and a young coach and you're ambitious and trying to get everything.
Yeah.
And that perspective is so important. I'm probably going to bring it up every episode moving forward to get some advice like you just said, like being happy with yourself and those little things is so important. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
So yeah, your second stint at Chaminade. This is when you got KJ and Keith?
So KJ and Keith came in the summer between their 8th and 9th grade year. John Pilars was there for 1 year, left and went back to Calabasas. And then so coming back, that was also, we have KJ and Keith. This will also be fun to coach these guys,
Right.
Now, KJ and Keith, my son played on the same club team for Keith Higgins Sr. You should get Keith Higgins Sr. on the show.
I should.
Yes. But anyway, Keith Higgins Sr. was coaching the California Heat. And my son Caden played on that team with KJ and Keith. So KJ, Keith, and my son Caden and Colin Weems played together since they were playing with Coach Higgins. Colin Weems ended up going to Crespi, but then transferred over for his junior and senior year to Chaminade. And so those kids had been together for a while. So KJ and Keith ended up going to 8th grade at Chaminade and then transitioned right into the high school. They were freshmen, and it was funny. I still have the policy: if you're a freshman, you go to the first day of freshman summer. You go, So they went, and we knew it. The parents were great, no problem. We're dropping them off. Those parents, the Higgins and the Simpsons, parents-wise, they said, "Coach, they're yours." Now they did other stuff outside, and they would get on the referees a little bit, and it was but as far as coaching goes, it was never. Now their kids played, but it was never like you got to play more at this, you got to do more at that. It was no, you're the coach, and you told us about playing time. We're not going to talk to you about it and that kind of stuff. We talk about everything else, but not that. So that was also great, but those two worked so hard every single day. And KJ is just a freak. His motor is unstoppable. He doesn't even need to come out of the games of Colorado right now. He's in such. I don't even know if you're in great shape. It's just how he's built. People are different. You know what I mean? You make it to the NBA, you're different. There's just something different about you. And which is good. And so he's got a chance. But they never missed a workout unless they were really sick. So they didn't call up and say, "I've got to work out with my trainer. I can't make that optional workout." No, they came to ours first. And they made everything else that they did around what we were doing at Chaminade. And I don't know if this had to do with, I've had other coaches' kids in a program before, and that wasn't always great, but because they had different views. But I would remind them, look, you're a coach too, man. Like, if you were coaching this team, you might coach differently. This is how I coach this team and have those conversations. But with them, I think that they wanted to come to Chaminade, those two, because Valerie went to Chaminade, Valerie Higgins. And that's where they grew up. They were watched Valerie win Open Division championships, 3 CIF championships, state titles, and then go on to SC and eventually Pacific, and now she was playing overseas. And so there was no, in their mind, they weren't going anywhere else. And so everyone was calling them up all the time. Transfer this, that. Who knows what they were saying about me, and I don't care. And they didn't care. No, this is where we're going. We're staying at Chaminade. We're not leaving. You know what I mean? And they did, and we won when they were seniors. We won a champion. We won a lot, but we ended up winning the championship in Division I with no one bigger than 6'4" when they were seniors, with 7 guys playing in the rotation, with 16 guys on the team. And when I did exit years with those 16, with those other guys who never played, said it was the greatest experience they had. They loved being a part of the program like that. We also had no injuries that year. You have no injuries, you're going to be the same 7 guys, same 5 starters, same 7 rotation. In close games, you're going to win. That without the injuries. So that built into that they bought into that concept of the program, and everybody else did, and
No,
it paid off with
when your best players and your leaders buy in that way, and their families.
Yeah.
I think that's what you did. You recruited some good, or not recruited. You inherited, however you want to say it, some great families. With these kids who are high level, it helps.
Well, I would say
culture,
keeping kids in the program is a type of recruiting. Keeping them there, because nowadays everyone might, it just seems like everyone nowadays is, should I go somewhere else or should I not? Well, that's up to you. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're not happy, then yes, you only get to play high school basketball for 4 years, or high school sports, whatever sport it is. If you're not happy, then you should go somewhere else.
Right.
We don't want people to come to Chaminade unless they want to come to Chaminade. We want you to be part of the whole thing, and that's what we talk about all the time. Yeah. And it's not just basketball. We want you to go on retreat. If you want to play football, we want you to play football. If you want to play baseball, play baseball. We'll work it all out. If you want to be in a club, be in a club. And if you have to come late to practice one time because of a club, no problem. Maybe we switch up the schedule and we go later. You know what I mean? Like, we'll figure it out because we want you to be a whole person, and we actually want you to find what you like. I'm not even sure if everyone who ever played for me even likes basketball, or if they played it because they just played their whole lives and their parents loved it, and so they just kept doing it, and that's what's expected of them. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. You have to love doing this. This is a job, especially, and I'm not sure how it is in other leagues or whatever, but in our league, it's a job. You are playing against the best teams in the state or the country, and you got to be ready to do it. You know what I mean? And even if you lose by, like, we lost our first Mission League game this year to Sierra Canyon. I think we lost by 40 or 38. And at the end of the game, like, Andre, that did not feel like a 40-point game. He goes, no. I mean, it was whatever, I mean, but that's just how it goes, in a flow of a game. And in our league, if you have a bad game, you could get out of hand quickly. You could have a great game and still lose by 15. But that is the point of, you can't be comparing yourself to someone else. You have to, what can we get the best out of us? Yeah. And yes, the goal is to win the game. We're not stepping on there to win the game. And we're always stepping on the court expecting to win the game. And we come up with a game plan to win the game. And sometimes you win and sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? And you've beaten teams that are better than you, and we've lost to teams that are not better than us. You know what I mean? That's how it is. So. No,
that's great. Great insight. Your CIF run, right? Mm-hmm. It's always great to just talk about that experience. Mm-hmm. What are what is the mindset going into, I would say, starting at league probably for you, and then enduring that run through the playoffs?
Well, it starts, it's already started for next year. So we had individual meetings the last 2 weeks. I have 3 more meetings tomorrow, and then we're done with individual meetings. So it's now started. Our season ended, and we do the individual meetings, and at the individual meetings, you tell me about your experience from this year, you tell me about your goals for next year, and then I lay out what I expect, or our coaching staff expects from you, to be ready for when we start working out on after Easter break on April 2nd. You got to come in stronger, the ball, whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And some of it is grades, some of it is your mental, you have to be mentally stronger. You get in your own head too much, you got to work on that. Yep. And that doesn't, none of this changes. So, and then I say, right now, this is where I see you. If we were to go play a game right now, this is where I see you. Varsity, JV, cut. And I let them know where they're at right now. I go, but you have almost 3 months to change that before we make our summer team. What are you going to do from now to then? Because I know what other kids are doing, or what they tell me they're doing, right? Right. I only know for sure what one kid is doing, and that's my own kid. Because right now, I'm a dad, right? And so I work out my son right now as a dad, and I'm not working any other kids out. This is our break. You go work out with somebody else or take a break or whatever, and I'm being a dad right now, which is another way to separate. You can't be with, you have to make the boundaries of what's going on. Ideally, we're still playing right now because it's a state tournament. You know what I mean? But we're not. And so we had our meetings and we go on. So then there's a break. We're going to have to do some open runs just to let kids run around a little bit before spring break or Easter break. And then we come back and we're back at it. So we've already started in preparation for CIF next year in league. So our ultimate goal is to win every time you step on the floor, right? So when we play in the summer, I'm very clear that the score of this game does not matter. We are trying to get better. And so I remember this last year, I got into it with my 2 captains on the sideline during the summer game. We're yelling at each other, and then after the game, we go in the locker room. Well, we were at home. We went in the locker room, and we started talking about what's going on. Like, you're right. We lost track of, because we weren't running our zone correctly. We were up by 8. I'm like, we got to practice our zone. We don't practice our zone. We can't run it in 8 months from now. We got to practice it every now and then. And we lost the game. This is summer game. We have film now on how we have to get better on running ours. You're right, Coach. We just want to win all. Yeah, but right now it's practice. This is glorified practice against another team in the summertime. It is not a game. Yes, we're going to try to win because we're stepping on the floor. But we need to see how we play without you on the floor. What if you get in foul trouble? What if you get hurt? We need to see what this guy can do. He might be able to move into play our 3 position instead of being in what I consider to be our 14. Everyone got to get their opportunity. And we go through all of those things. Now, when we go to California Live, yes, we're going to try to win those games. If we go to Section 7, we're going to try to win those. That's different, but not the the Heritage League, Tuesday night league. And sometimes I say, you're not playing. Sit down and you're with the coaches and see what's going on. And so if we go to like a team camp where they have a whole bunch of games, I will designate games that they don't play. When we run our own tournament in that referee clinic, I designate games you're not going to play. And you sit on the bench with the coaches and you're actually watching what's going on. So now you're not watching it on film. You're not watching it. You're watching it as a coach. Yep. And they're like, oh my God, you're right. He's standing around. I'm like, yeah, that's what you were doing yesterday. And we see it on film, but you didn't believe, like you believe it on film, but you're like, but now this is what's happening. And you want me to make a decision about your playing time based on what's going on. I got to pull you out because you're standing. You got to keep moving around. I can't wait till after the game is over, watch film, and then go back to the game and then take you out. You know what I mean? Like you got to be playing all the time. And so we learn those things because that's what summer is. It is practice against another team. So then we get into spring or in the fall league, and then we will be like, okay, these games right here were designated. We're going to try to win these games and play it like a real game because now we're coming up on the season. Right. These games we're going to play as still practices, and we're going to see it. And so we already know that. We don't tell this to parents. Parents just show up and cheer for everybody. Right. Cheer for the other team. They're trying to. I don't care. Now, when we get into preseason, now we're trying to work on everything to get it fine-tuned, and that's where you may not ever play again. If we're up big on somebody, I can maybe get a couple minutes in for somebody to see where they're at. But you've now earned your time from this meeting to what you did in your workouts on your own. Because if you want to play this level, you got to work out on your own. You got to figure it out. You know what I mean? And then you got to what we did in our workouts together, to what we did in the June season, to what you did in club, to what we did when we came back, to right now, to fall league, to then we're now in preseason and now we got to win games. Because the way the CIF is set up, you have to be over 500. So we have to win these games because, and it happened this year. It's very rare that someone goes undefeated or winless or undefeated in the Mission League. Very rare. Right. Well, we went winless this year. We had 17 wins outside of league. So we were outside of the Mission League, including playoffs, we were 17-5. In the Mission League, including the tournament, we were 0-8. So one of those was overtime, another one was a 2-point game. Like they were close, right? And there's reasons for whatever happened in all of these games. But it doesn't matter. If you're in the program, you could be called at any time. So we actually had kids who played in the freshman team play in the Mission League tournament in the playoffs. That played on our freshman team this year. They got time in the playoffs. And because when we went to practice, because once the Mission League tournament is over to the playoffs, we had like 8 or 9 practices. It's a long break in that time period. And so here we pull guys up and he earned it. Okay, I told you guys you're always competing. Wow. Every single day. This isn't the NBA where you have contracts and you get 38 minutes and you're getting 27 minutes. You don't even need, in the NBA, you don't even really need a coach. The guys stand up at whatever time it is and walk in because it's their time. You know what I mean? That's not how it works. You got to work every single day and earn it. And I think that helps the kids work harder and harder. I feel like in our program, we get the most out of the kids. For most of them, at least we try to get the most out of them. But the most out of this kid is different than the most out of this kid, which is different than the most out of this kid. You know what I mean?
The most out of KJ Simpson was Colorado. That is like,
it's on him.
It's a true development system, right? Like you're truly developing, and then the honesty with the players and the exit meetings. Like I've talked about this a lot with, we are in the high school transfer portal right now, and I get calls from parents left and right, what I think and my advice and all that. And a lot of the questions I ask is like, have you talked to the coach yet? Mm-hmm. Do you have an exit meeting? And they're like, no. What's that? And I'm like, oh.
From the players?
The coaches aren't having exit meeting with the players. Oh. The coaches of these schools that are supposed to have basketball programs. Yes, and me too. And I'm like, that's crazy that you don't have an exit meeting with your players, because especially in this environment where transferring, and these are like good players. It's not like they're not, this is the bottom of the bench players, which you should have an exit meeting with them as well.
Everybody,
They're not doing it with their good players because of whatever, I don't know, because they just don't know. I don't know, whatever it is. But I love that and how honest you are. Hey, if we started today, you would be starter, bench, cut. Like very plain, but hey, here's how you get better. Right. And that is what this is all about.
And I'll use examples. I'll say like, I won't say it on here, but I'll use someone like who when maybe they had seen play as a senior, right? I'll go, so this player, Steve, will say, Steve didn't make our freshman summer team, went and worked hard. Then he stood out, and then he started as a sophomore on JV. He earned it. Well, or Do you know who this guy is? No, who's that? Yeah, he was on our freshman team and starting. Then he got the JV, was starting, and then he didn't work hard because he thought he had it, and other guys passed him up. Really? You don't just go? Like, and one kid actually said this to me, and this is the first time he's ever said this to me. This was last year at an exit interview, which I thought was great, communication-wise. He said he played on our freshman team and started on our JV team and had pretty good years. And I go, all right, what's your goals for the coming year? Well, I expect to start on JV. Let me cut you off right there. Well, use the word expect. What does that mean? Let's talk about expect. And the way he verbalized it over the course of the conversation, this meeting actually went really long because it was great. Yeah. And he made our team and did really well this year, right, as a junior. But he said expect, and we went over the word expect, and he goes, that's just how it is. It came to be that's not how it is. You go from freshman to JV to varsity, I should be starting, right? No. And after I explained it all to him, he's like, oh, you're right. Like, he never thought about it. Wow. So maybe let everybody even thinks about this. So you don't even know what they're thinking if you don't sit down and have a conversation. And also, these exit interviews aren't my first conversation one-on-one with them. Right. You know what I mean? So it's continuing the conversation because I try to meet with everybody every 2 or 3 weeks about their grades. And if they're doing really well, I might skip a meeting. You know what I mean? Right. Or I might just in practice, hey, come over real quick. Hey, your grades look really good today. Great job. I'm not going to meet with you this week. Oh, no problem, coach. I'm good. You know, that kind of thing. So we do meet that. So this exit interview is maybe their individually, maybe their 5th or 6th or 7th meeting with me individually for this year. And the older kids have more. You know, so they start feeling more comfortable. Like we were saying, how do you feel comfortable? And he felt comfortable enough to have that conversation, but he didn't even realize he was using the word expect and what that meant. And then now he does, and he worked harder. And if he expected to make it, he might have not made it. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So if we didn't have this interview or this conversation, he may have fell by the wayside. I don't know.
This is so important. Yeah. Karina, we're definitely making a clip out of this. Because I think this is the biggest issue in high school basketball in these private schools, the expectation of the kids and the non-communication of the coaches. Because they also don't want to have these meetings because they're afraid that the kid is going to transfer and that kind of thing where, man, you sit in a great position where you really don't care. You don't have to worry about that because you are developing these kids and I'm sure your school and your admin see that and it's the bigger picture. Yeah.
And I always say, and I say this probably way too much, and not in individual meetings, but to the whole team or the whole group when I have everybody in their freshman team. If this is not fun for you, then you shouldn't be doing this. But if you want to play basketball, but this isn't fun, this might not be the place for you because we want you here to go to Chaminade. So if you're having fun in school and you're having fun with your friends and you're having fun with it and everything else is great in school and you're liking school and everything else, but the only down part is basketball, well, we can work with that. But if you're not enjoying any of it, then we had 7 kids transfer out after summer last year, and which is okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if all of them played at their new school. You know what I mean? But I talk about this all the time. And if you really, really aren't enjoying it, and you want to go somewhere else, go ahead. Yeah. If I could sign a piece of paper saying clear this person right away, then clear them. Like CIF should let everybody play. It's crazy. That's a whole other thing. But
let's talk about it though.
But you know what I mean? Like so. And these kids, I don't know if any of them hated me or hated the program or if their parents hated me or not or whatever. But if they're at a new place and they're enjoying it, awesome. That's how it should be. You shouldn't be like, oh my God, I have to go to practice. Right. You know, and I tell the parents too. I said, like, if you have to get your son off the couch because we have practice in an hour and he's just sitting there and doesn't want to go, you have to really have a conversation with your son about, does he even want to play basketball? Right. Because if you're only doing this for the 28 to 35 games we're going to play in the season and not the 200 plus other days that I'm going to be with your kids, I'm with your kids more than you are. You know what I mean? That I'm going to be with your kids and with their teammates and stuff, and they're not enjoying those 200 plus other days, probably 250 plus other days, right. And they're only worried about the 28 possible games. What are we doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just another thing. We did this one time. Will Burr, do you know Will?
Yep.
Okay, so Will Burr was coaching with me for a year or two or whatever. And so I remember one year, hey, Will, watch this. Hey, guys, where's the game at tonight? Now, you say that to me, being in my 50s, to me that means the game at tonight is, well, I grew up in San Diego. Well, it's Monday night, so the game's not at Mission Beach. It's Tuesday, the game's at Balboa Park. It's Wednesday. I know where the game is tonight. It's at San Diego State's auxiliary gym. Yep. Right? I know where the game is. They had no clue what I was talking about. And Will just starts laughing. He goes, well, tonight the game's where, and Will starts answering the questions. Tomorrow the game is here. Because they don't go play pickup basketball. Yeah. I ask them all the time, how many of you guys play basketball outside of here? Hardly any of them. If you're not playing basketball outside of here, why are you playing? Like, my mom had to drag me from. Now, we didn't have 1,000 club. Club now is basically like a rec ball.
Yeah, exactly.
There's, and the higher level ones are like what club used to be or whatever.
Yeah.
So we didn't have all of that. So maybe we had to go find a game. I don't know. But even if we did, we were still trying to go play pickup games with all the, other guys that could
100%.
play and the college players.
Yeah.
So. But a lot of them don't know. Like, if they go play somewhere, they go to 24-hour fitness. Well, at least there's something there, right?
Yeah.
But whatever. It's an interesting concept. Do you actually like this? Because again, it's a job. So.
No, and I think that's parent pressure as well, and then living vicariously through their kid, trying to force them to play and holding on to their own hoop dreams and all those kinds of things. And
if I had to force my kids to do anything, they'd be playing golf.
There you go. Right.
And my 3 boys and me would be on the golf course every day.
So I think at a young age you have to, until they hit like 12 or 13.
I agree.
I think you have to have them committed to what they're doing and show them how to work to get good at something because of the overall success. Right?
I would tweak it a little bit. I would say we introduced our kids to everything, and so like when they were 4 or 5, we did karate. How'd you like that? Well, one of them liked it and did it for 2 years. The other one didn't like it, so he finished out the 3 months we paid for or whatever. We got them all into soccer. Did you like it or not? My oldest went to soccer all through 8th grade. My youngest was done after, or my middle was done after a year. Okay, then we introduced them to football. We introduced them to everything. Because at that young, you're not gonna, how good are you gonna get at shooting a basketball? It's not even the regular side basketball. Your form's gonna be all jacked up.
Right.
Anyway, there's another thing about that. But so to find out what they actually like, that I continually told my kids, if you don't like basketball, don't play it. Don't do it because of me. But whenever they were with me, we were on a basketball court, so maybe that forced them to like it more.
Yeah. No, it helps.
But I mean, my middle one, like I said, wanted to transfer, but didn't, and loves that he didn't. My oldest one ended up becoming a manager at the University of Notre Dame. He's now graduated from the University of Notre Dame, and he played on his intramural dorm team, and they won his manager team actually won the national championship for managers in the manager games. Yeah, so last year they won it in Houston.
Awesome.
So we all went to Houston to watch him play in the national championship out there in Houston at the Final Four. It was awesome. Yeah, and he loves it, right?
Yeah.
But he's like 5'8". He's never good. He could shoot it really well. They could all shoot. But so now my youngest one, who's now just finished his sophomore year. After last year, we did it. I do interviews with my kids too. I bring them in. I go, look, I'm your coach right now. We're doing an interview. So every meeting I do, I also have my kids in there. So he comes in. He goes, I don't want to play anymore. Okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to be part of the program still? I want to be manager. Awesome. We'd love to have you as manager. I'm having this conversation with my kid as his coach in my head going, okay, he doesn't want to play anymore. I'm glad he's telling me this because I don't want to force him to play, but he's got to do something. Yeah. So he joined the volleyball team. Halfway through volleyball season, he comes, Dad, I don't want to play volleyball. I go, well, you have to finish the season. He goes, no, I know, I don't quit in the middle of the season, but I want to play. I want to play basketball. I miss it. I want to play. Well, we'll see about that. You've already told me you didn't want to play, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, and now he's figured it out, and he's back playing and doing fine.
Just needed that break. I think a lot of kids, especially coaches' kids, they need a little 6 months where they don't play basketball.
You got to find out if you like it.
And it happens in their teenage years when you're thinking, well, when most people think it's so important for them to play, but I think that mental break and finding their identity in something.
They have to find out if they like it. So if he did miss it, great. Yeah. And if you love volleyball, great, you're playing volleyball now. Yeah. Whatever. You got to find out what it is that you like. So you said, in those formidable years, you lose that time. Well, you lose the time to figure out what you like. And then if you figure out that you really... So my middle son, COVID was crazy, right? My middle son taught himself how to play guitar during COVID and taught himself how to surf during COVID. So, because those are two things you can do on your own. We just would go to Ventura where they didn't close the beaches if you were separated, and he would learn how to, and he was surfing, and he was terrible at it, but he's good at it now. So, but he's now in a band. So he's in a band. They're called Mirror Maze. He's got 2 singles released. This was in COVID, and he never played an instrument before. When they were young, we tried to force all of them to play an instrument, and they fought us to the core about not doing it. Well, he missed out on all of that time because he didn't realize that he loved it, and then he taught himself online how to play the guitar. Now he's in a band, doing great, and he's going to San Diego for a gig on Friday. Like, he's traveling all over the place,
for real
doing gigs. Yes, he's doing it and loving it, writing songs, doing all that. Well, it took him some extra time to figure out. The problem is, in high school sports, you don't have that extra time.
Right.
So that's where it comes down to, like, we really need to force them. Well, that's fine if they love it. If they're begging you to go work out, not let's go, we have to go work out, and you're making them. Well, I feel like a lot of times I feel like I'm making them do it because they just need that extra motivation. Okay, for that day.
Right.
What about 5 times that week or that whole month? And you got to find out what they want to do. Maybe they really want to do something else, and because everyone has it in them to be passionate about something. You got to find out what it is. Yeah. Now, when you get in your 20s and 30s, maybe you lose that passion because you're getting older and you haven't found it yet. You know what I mean? You become lackadaisical with stuff. But when you're young, I mean, you're energetic. You're excited about something. Find out what that is, and let's roll. Let's do it.
No, I love that. So. That's great. That's great advice, and that's great parenting all the way around. I did want to. No, I don't. It's okay. We're going to talk about the CIF.
Yeah,
but we'll let it go.
It's been positive so far.
Yes, exactly. Let's keep it there. I think we're ready to go into the next segment.
Okay.
Great stuff. I just appreciate every perspective you have as an administrator, as a dad, as a basketball coach, as a former player. Like, you have the perspective that a lot of coaches don't have nowadays, to kind of see it all from every level and really build, like you said earlier, you said it in the beginning, is like, it's about the kid. And that's it. Everything you have is focusing around the kid. And I think if all coaches did that just a little bit more, then these kids will have a better experience and actually receive what they're supposed to from playing a sport, which is learning how to be committed to something, learning how to work through adversity, learning how to communicate, learning how to advocate for themselves. All these things that are built through basketball will be given if we just gave them this blueprint and then held them accountable to it and love. So, that's great stuff.
Well, thanks.
That's what it was. It came back to me. Coaching in the Mission League. What is the highs and what are the lows of coaching in the Mission League?
Well, I like all the coaches. I think we all get along pretty well. I text or talk to most of them a few times every year, and then we have our meetings. Our meetings go pretty smoothly, and I think we all act professionally, and we get along pretty well. And so I like it. It's all high level. You know that everyone is going to be prepared. You respect everybody and what they can do. And Alamany just won this year, right? Yeah. So everyone may now have at least one CIF championship.
Yeah.
Maybe not Damon yet at Loyola because he just started 2 years ago. So maybe not him. But still, he's that level. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the commitment to it, and like I talk to him he'll call me up. Hey, coach, what do you think about this? I'm like, I think this. What do you think about this? We're just talking. And I think it's great. I love just talking about basketball and or life or whatever with people that I respect, and I respect them and what they do and what they go through every day. And we all do it differently. And I don't care how anybody does it. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you're not breaking rules or cheating or whatever. You know what I mean? So as long as you're doing that, I'm great with it. And, some of the teams go out and have other people come in from all over the country. Okay. You're not breaking any rules according to CIF and our league monitors that kind of stuff. Great. If you're going to do that, do it that way. I don't care. I don't do it that way, right? I do it differently. We all do it differently. We all do it differently. And so however anyone does it, I think is great, because when they get on the court, they are trying to get the best of the kids they have on that court, and they're trying to do that. Off the court, I'm not sure how it goes with all of them. Only inside the program does anyone really know. Only the kids really know what's going on. Even the parents don't really know what's going on. Only the kids do. But I have respect for all of them. I love coaching against them. I hate January because I don't get a lot of sleep. I'm not a big fan of our tournament. I'd rather play everybody home and home. I think that's exciting. You know what I mean? To go play Crespi at home against the Cabana versus the Cage, and they're yelling at each other, And then 2 days later, you're going to Loyola, and they got they're those guys, whatever they call it, and they're going against each other, and then you mix it back up. I like that, but that's really hard in our league, because if that's the case, then you're playing 14 league games, and and not that I really don't care about outside perception, but the way it's set up, if you go 0-14, you can't make the playoffs.
Right.
And maybe you're 14-0 outside of league.
Yeah.
You know, and some people say, well, if you don't win enough games in league, you shouldn't be in the playoffs. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's not the rule right now, but maybe not. I don't know. But a team like us that got 17 wins outside of league, but no wins in league, and had some close games.
What's the toughest league almost in the country?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
really tough.
And those kids worked hard. They should have a chance to go in the playoffs. I am not advocating for us to be in Division II AA or whatever. We were in 2A this year, where, you know, we had some stuff. Whatever. It didn't have. We lost. So put us in Division I. I don't care. Just put us in the playoffs because we deserve to be in the playoffs. Like, you know, deserves a bad word. That deserves a horrible word.
Earned.
We've earned the right to be in the playoffs because we're a good we're a good team and a good program or whatever. So do I, you know, like, they keep evolving and changing and how the playoff structure, they even changed it again this year. But what I don't like is we played a team, I won't say the team, this is probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago now. They were 28-0, and they, or maybe 27-1, all like 9 seniors. They were really good in a smaller league, but they won outside of league too. Mm-hmm. We were like the 6th place team in the Mission League. We walked through the door, and we had a pretty big team that year. We walked through the door, and it was packed. They're yelling at it. It was a small town. They were all fired up. It was going great. We were up 25 at halftime. Like, it's not the same. Do those kids should have had the right to try to win whatever division that was, 3, whatever they put us in that year? Why are you putting us in Division 3? Like, so we go to the what they call the Super League. I can't remember what they called it. We were calling it the Super Leagues back at the end of my first stint. So this was probably 2006, 2007, maybe 2008, somewhere in there, where they put the best leagues in the same playoff division. Okay, so it was Mission League, Trinity League. Well, back then Mission Viejo's league was pretty good. I don't know if it still is. They were in that. Damien's league was probably that. Whatever leagues were in that. We played Mission Viejo in the first round. What a great, and we were like 3rd place in the league that year. Great game. I think it came down to the last shot. They made it. We were out. Okay, but we had a chance in the playoffs against another team that was really good. Right. Instead of beating up on 3 or 4 teams and then playing for a CIF championship at a lower division. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if that's where you put us, that's fine. We're going to go and play, and we didn't win this year. But Alamany's still playing, and they're winning games in their division. That's great. You know what I mean? But really, if we're at that high level, and they're going to say that we're that high level, then put us all up in the same.
So do you think that new structure of the competitive equity and how they're going to do it after the season?
I still don't fully understand. No, after the season and naming the division is fine. I still don't fully understand how that's going to work because you still have to be 500. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so if you still have to be 500 and you're us playing in a league where we could win every game and we could lose every game. Not just us, every team in our league. You could win every game and you could lose every game. That's possible, right? And it happened to us this year. If you don't take care of getting yourself over 500 prior to that, you're going to be out of the playoffs, possibly. Well, and then the other side of it says, well, win some league games then. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, win some league games. It makes sense. You know what I mean?
What rule would make sense then for this over 500 thing? Like, what could that be replaced with?
Well, it used to be get 10 wins to get in. That's arbitrary. Why? Because it's double digits.
Right, but because you can schedule 10 terrible games.
Yeah. So like if you, so then people say, well, you don't. I don't know if people think this or not because no one says anything to me. But like when I start thinking about, what's the perception of this? Well, we played this team and we're going to beat them. We're playing this team, we're going to beat them. There's reasons we're playing certain teams, and you win games by 40 or 50 or whatever. Well, KJ and Keith's freshman year, we were under 500 and didn't make the playoffs. We lost to Windward by 2. We played a great schedule.
Right.
And we were 2 games below 500 and not in the playoffs. I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. This is because of that rule. Okay. So the next year I went way the other way, way the wrong way. And we were beating teams by 80, right? So, which is not fun. That's not, that year was fun. Yes, we lost some games, but every game was a battle. It was great. So you have to figure out how to balance the schedule off.
It sounds like strength of schedule, right? That's that strength of schedule number that Max Preps holds where, whatever it's called, like that might be it. It has to be over a 10, 12, 15, whatever it is.
Okay. So then if you're, now we're getting into CIF stuff, right? But if you are
we're trying to find a solution for them. Though.
No, I know. So Well, in some sports, they have a solution. Like,
Which is?
before they went to the competitive equity, was you had to be in the top half of your league. Okay, well, if that's the rule, then make it a rule and let's go with it. All right, and that's some sports. Like, I'm not sure off the top of my head what sports, but basketball, you're going to sell out gyms, right? So there's also money involved in basketball. Other sports, there's no money. I don't even think they sell tickets to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Football and basketball may be the only ones. But if you're saying that, so okay, let's play. I like to play devil's advocate with everything. So what I'm about to say, I don't necessarily believe in. I'm just saying this is a possibility. Ooh, strength of schedule. If we can schedule really, like, try to find the worst schedule of bad teams because of the worst schedule we can have. Our strength of schedule is going to go way down. Competitive equity is going to come out. We're going to be like Division 4. We can win a CIF championship.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Within the structure of the rules, that's possible. They're going to be over 500. Strength of schedule is going to be way down. It's possible. Okay, so here's another possibility. I want to play the best schedule we can play. Well, I did that for Keith and KJ's senior year, or freshman year. We did that. And we didn't make the playoffs. Okay, we were a playoff. We could have maybe won CIF that year. You know what I mean? Because we came in 5th in league when they were freshmen, which puts us 1 out of the automatic qualifier because top half of the league goes in automatically, and we were out. Okay, well, if I would have just not scheduled those 2 teams and scheduled those 2 teams instead, we would have been 500 or better, and we got in. Alamany this year, in the last, they scheduled 2 games after the Mission League tournament because they were 2 games below 500. Won both those games, got to 500. Now they've won CIF, and they're going to have a chance to win state,
right?
Because they had 500.
Yeah.
So if they don't schedule those games, they're not even in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so what's the balance? I don't know. You figure out a way. I guess you could use to manipulate the system to make it best. Again, I'm not believing in any of this. I'm just saying these are things that could happen.
That was a good conversation.
You know what I mean?
So find that. I think there might be a formula for this thing, right? An analytical formula that you can really break down to balance all those things out. But
well, here's what I think. Here's what I think too. There's simple, little, tiny rules that could really help. If you're an open division team, it shouldn't count towards automatic qualifier in your league. Okay. So now we had. I don't know how Notre Dame didn't get in the open division.
Right.
That is, Mercy Miller that team is good. Lino and Mercy are next level, and then the rest of them, they're good. And I can name all those players. They're good. And they are one of the top teams in the state, and they should be in the open division, and they're not. And they
smacking everybody by 40.
Yeah, and they survived their first game against Korean Lutheran and then just blew everybody, and then went through the whole thing. And then they won by 40 in the first round of state, because they should be in the open division for state too. There's another thing. If you win Division 1 CIF, you should be automatically in the open division. We won Division 1 when it came out. I'm like, why are we not open? We want a chance. We want to go see if we're the best team in the state. We want that challenge. Yeah. But anyway, so now I lost my train of thought. So back to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. What was it?
You were, here's how to balance it. If you're an open division qualifier, you automatically don't count for your league status.
Right. So if that's the case, then in the Mission League this year, I'll use them for example. Us, for example, Harvard, Westlake, Sierra Canyon put in the open. So now our automatic 4 qualifiers should be our 3, 4, 5, and 6 teams. And only reason I say this is because the open division is not the same.
Right.
It's not a bracket. It's not win and you're out. You're automatically in the state tournament. So since it's not the same, it shouldn't take away from someone else in your league because you're now saying that these are the best teams in the state.
Yeah.
So therefore, your league should get the bump of getting the automatics lowered down.
Makes sense.
Right? So if that was the case, then St. Francis and Alamany would have been automatic bids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then he doesn't have to schedule those 2 games. You know what I mean? But he had prepared for it.
Right,
you know what I mean? Anyway, so that's something that could happen there. And only because it's a different tournament. It's not one and done, and you're automatically in the state. So therefore, change that part of it. Also, get rid of the buys. Like, you have a state tournament at Open Division and gave Harvard, Wesleyan, and Roosevelt buys. Why didn't you put Notre Dame in there? Why didn't you put St. John Bosco in there? I guarantee you they wanted a shot. You know what I mean? I know Notre Dame did. I didn't talk to St. John Bosco. I talked to Matt, but they then go the next whatever. Why are there buys? That's a huge advantage for Harvard Westlake not to play a first game in Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Huge advantage. You know, Sierra Canyon loses at the buzzer. Did you see the?
Yeah.
So they lose at the buzzer last night. So St. Joseph is now on a high. They got to drive all the way home. They're excited about it. They got to probably just recover today. Then they got to go try to play Roosevelt, which is another hour and a half past. That's a 4 or 5 hour drive for them.
Right.
Maybe they might just went to Eastville. Yeah, instead of a hotel. Actually, that's what we would have done. So, but you know what I mean. But now you got that huge advantage. Huge advantage for the 1 and 2 seed. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Why not have it at 8? But whatever.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think that's great advice, and I hope the CIF hears this and they can figure this out. So
they have heard this from
they just
some of us.
I gotcha. Awesome.
And other people have different ideas.
Right.
I'm not saying my ideas are right.
It makes sense, though.
Yeah, and I get worried sometimes that people think I'm talking on a soapbox or I'm trying to lecture or whatever, preach, and I'm not. I'm just, you can tell I'm passionate.
You're not on social media talking about it,
Yeah.
and this is a great space to talk about it, because I'm asking the questions. You just got to answer them. That's all.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're gonna move to our next segment.
Okay.
Called My Rushmore. My Rushmore. So. Yes, for all your years at Chaminade, we're going to talk about the top 4 players
That graduated?
that graduated from Chaminade.
KJ Simpson is number 1. Well, actually, we won't say 1. He's number 1, but it won't go 1, 2, and 3. KJ Simpson holds most of the records at the school, and his senior year was only 24 games because of COVID. So that's an extra 10 to 12. Well, no, 24. Yeah, extra 10 to 15 games that he could have had. Who knows what they would have been? And he's up there. He's either leading in everything stat-wise or up on the top 10 list at least for all of it, except for maybe shooting percentage, because there's some guys. The guys in the post will get those. So KJ Simpson, Jaron Martin. I'll put Jaron in there. He still comes back and works out at Chaminade. He's playing overseas. I believe he was the MVP of the Mexican League a couple years ago that he was in.
Yeah.
He
just went back to
Spain, I believe.
Spain?
Maybe.
No, I think he went to Dubai most recently.
Jaron did? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
It was for like a 2-week tournament, though. He was like in and out. Yeah.
He's in our gym. He's either in our gym or St. Francis' gym when he's back. Probably every day. He probably goes to us in the morning and then in the afternoon. His work ethic is unmatched. And I believe both of those 2 guys were overlooked by colleges, and I know a lot of the colleges I've texted or called back of, man, we missed out on KJ. Can't get them all. We can't get them all right. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's okay. We told you, but that's okay. And Jaron, same thing. They missed out. But they both had great career. Or KJ's had a great career at Colorado, and Jaron had a good career at Irvine. So those 2. Did you say 4?
Yeah.
Man. I'll put Scott Borchard on there. Scott Borchard I think he's number 4 leading scorer. He is number 1 in career shooting percentage. He actually took 41. I just saw this yesterday, so I know 41 charges in his career. So as a 6'8" kid, he was taking charges also in the right spots, and he's now back working at Chaminade, as a matter of fact. I don't know that. They won state. We won state in 2014. Jack Williams is a very talented player.
Jack was good.
Yeah, very talented player. 4-year. I don't know if he started all 4 years, but a 4-year player. He's up on all those records as well. He's up there. Keith Higgins Jr. is also there. The only problem that he had is he played at the same time as KJ, so which was great for them. You know what I mean? And he's actually number 2 in scoring. Number 1 and number 2 in this history in the history of our school, played on the same team for 4 years. I don't know.
That's great.
There's another thing too. Abe Eagle is not on this list, but Abe Eagle is a 1,000-point scorer, and Abe Eagle played 3 years of varsity, and his 3 years of varsity were the same 3 years that KJ Keith then played. So we had 3,000-point scorers on the same 3-year team.
Wow.
I don't know if that's happened to too many places.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, that's why we won a lot of games. But Jack Williams, possibility. Mike Yang, who went to Kentucky, is a walk-on possibility. But I only saw him play 1 year. Scott Long was very good. I think he was a D3 Player of the Year, and then played at Naval Academy. Very good. Number 4, huh? I'll go with Jack. I'll go with Jack. Yeah.
Awesome. Our next part is called Fixing the Net. Okay, Fixing the Net. A misconception about you as a coach, or Chaminade program, or just in basketball in general that you would like to make clear.
Maybe that I don't care about winning, or care about, I guess winning would, I don't know, because I don't go out there and recruit. I'm not at, and again, if people do, I have no problem with it. I'm not at youth games trying to get kids to come to Chaminade. I'm not at I'm not doing any of that. And I actually went into my administration a few years ago and said, look, if you're looking for someone to do that, it's not me, but I can find someone who that I like, who have been fit into our school, that will get, these super players in. But that is not me. What I want, and we've touched on it a few times, is if transfers come, they come. That's great. Or if you come in at ninth grade, that's great. I want kids to come to our school because they've looked at our school, they want to come to our school, they like what the school is about, and they want to be at Chaminade. And then if basketball is something that they do, great. And if part of their decision is because of basketball, great. But if they're coming solely because all they care about is basketball, and they don't care about going on retreats, and they don't care about being in clubs or being a part of the school environment and everything that we do, then it's not going to work out. It's going to be tough. And if they don't care about academics, or a lot of people say they care about academics so much, but if they don't truly care about academics, where I might take you out of a game because you didn't do the proper preparation for a class and it was drawing, and then you get upset with me, then that's not okay. And I've had to take kids out of games. And the people that are here now in my second stint understand that. Oh no, we back you. We were good. Yeah. You're right. In my first stint, I was a little younger. Maybe I didn't communicate it as well. There were problems all the time. But I want people to know that right away, that I care about winning, but I care about development. And yes, when I get on a court, I want to win, but I want to develop the kids who want to be here at Chaminade. And that's what I want. And I guess I probably could go out and recruit kids to come out and find out about Chaminade and decide if they want to do it. It's not me. Whoever you give me, so you give me. A good story about that is, at all my kids' youth teams that I coach, no matter what sport, soccer or basketball, but they have drafts and people are in there and they're, they have little tryouts, and I laugh at these tryouts, and then the first pick comes and I take whoever, and they're like, that kid's like a seventh rounder. What are you doing? I was my son's best friend. Yeah, but you guys aren't going to win. They're 10. I want him to play with my best friend, and he's going to make some new friends by some of the other kids I pick. You know what I mean? And that's how I made my teams. And the kids had a great time, and the families had a great time, and that's what I want. I want people who want to come and want to be a part of Chaminade, and then we are going to try to get the most out of them academically, spiritually, athletically, with their bodies, and basketball-wise, and socially with their teammates. That's what I want. So if that's something people think, I don't know, but that's what I want. I want people to come because they want.
Thank you.
And that's not going to
fix the net.
Oh, do I throw the ball through?
Yes. Nice.
No, that was my first dunk in 30 years.
Awesome. So this is the last segment of the show where we flip the script.
Okay.
You're the interviewer now. I'm the interviewee. 2 questions for me. Anything in the world.
If you aren't doing basketball, okay, and it can't be a sport, what is it that you like to do?
Okay, so there's another question that's come up now.
Oh, has it?
More recently.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I got something else.
No, it's all good. I would, couldn't do basketball. Mm-hmm. Like, you mean like I could, nothing.
Basketball doesn't exist.
Whoa.
It wasn't even invented.
Why are we even here? No, I'm joking. I would be a marriage counselor. So I officiate weddings. Awesome. I do marriage counseling with my wife. I love. I love marriage. That is 100%. That's probably what I would do.
If you haven't told that to people before, I think that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
To officiate a wedding is, man, that's scary.
No, it's the funniest. I make it really.
That's awesome.
I tell people, because people are worried about I make it very short. Mm-hmm. The ceremony is very short. It's very fun. Yeah. It's really about the people who are getting married.
Absolutely.
Weddings become this big old thing about how many people and what the family wants and all. I'm like, no, this is really the ceremony's actually for the bride. It's really just for her. Okay. The groom just has make sure he has his mom there or whatever it is. Okay. She just needs to have a perfect day. And so that's what I've learned, is how to make sure that during that ceremony, she has everything she wants. Okay. So when she walks into the reception, she can enjoy it.
Very cool.
Knowing that it's all over. So yeah, I'll be a marriage counselor.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then the second thing I'll ask you is, if you had the perfect vacation with your wife, what time of year would it be and where would you go?
Great question on the time of the year. That's a new twist to it. Just my wife.
Just your wife. No kids. No kids.
The kids are safely taken care of.
They're grown.
Else.
They're grown. Yeah. They're grown, but you're still this age.
Okay. So me and my wife have actually recently just talked about this. There is a cruise that goes around the world, and it is it's 280 days long.
Really?
Yes. It is ridiculously cool. It touches 50 or 60 countries. And so we love cruises. We went on a cruise for like our first 5 years of marriage. That way we don't have to worry about room service.
Yeah.
We got food all day. And so it like starts in Florida, and then it goes like down and around South America, over to Australia, back up through Japan, and then back around, and then hits the Mediterranean, comes back around, and then you go across the Atlantic, and then hit New York and hit the whole East Coast back down.
No, my mind is spinning now.
It is. Go look it up. So it's a cruise around the world. There's, I think, Royal Caribbean does one, and one of the bigger cruise, the Diamond Resorts or Diamond Cruise Lines or something. Yeah.
This is something like kids are gone.
Yes.
You're retired.
Yes.
Or you retire, right? You sell all your stuff.
Yes.
I don't know how much this costs.
It wasn't
Probably
terrible.
less than rent in California.
Yes.
You could actually live on this thing. You know what I mean? And you go and do this, and when you come back, you buy a place wherever your kids are now living with their kids.
Exactly. That's what me and my wife are like, oh, how
My wife is going to watch this and go, you just described what we're going to do.
That was the thing. It was like in some places, like when you go to, I think there's a stop in Dubai, and like you're there for 4 days. I'm gonna just fly the kids out for 4 days.
Yes.
Like, and so if the family wants to come see me, like, hey, I'm gonna be in France for a few days. Come fly in. I'll see you. Say what's up.
Yeah.
We're gonna go on this cruise though, and just enjoy. So that's my new thing, is going on that cruise.
Wedding, marriage counselor, and a travel agent.
There we go.
It could be a future.
100%. 100%. So you have a 24-second shot clock. That's your camera right there. A message for the people, where they can find you, if they can find you on social media.
Oh,
and
gosh.
then
It's programming my phone.
A message for the people.
Well, just thanks for listening. We are Chaminade Basketball, and our Instagram is Chaminade B-Ball. I don't run it, but I oversee it. And then our X is CCP Eagles Hoops. And if you want to follow us, that'd be great. We'll follow you back and get you interested in the program. If you're interested in Chaminade, you call our admissions office, and we'll get you into Chaminade and go on a tour. And then that's when we can meet and talk about anything that we want to talk about, and see if it's something that you're interested in doing. So thank you for your time, and this was great.
Yeah,
so,
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.